Hello everyone, today I will continue telling you the story of the single mother, Diệu Hân. I hope you enjoy the video. In the days after the wedding, Diệu Hân's life slowly settled into a gentle rhythm, as if all the storms of the past had drifted into faraway memories. Every morning, she woke up in a small sunlit home, accompanied by Tana's steady breathing and little Tom's cheerful voice calling Mom from the next room. That simple scene filled Hân's heart with peace every single day. At the bakery, things went even better than she had imagined. The cakes she made herself were loved by more and more customers. The shop was always filled with the sweet scent of vanilla and butter, blended with the happy chatter of familiar visitors. Tan constantly looked after her, fixing display shelves, carrying boxes, or simply holding her hand when she looked tired. Every small gesture from him made Hân feel fully cherished. At night, after Tom finished his homework and fell asleep, Hân often sat on the balcony, watching the city lights flicker. Tan would sit beside her, his arm draped gently over her shoulders. They didn't need many words, just being next to each other was enough to feel complete. Sometimes, as Hân sat in the bakery watching Tom run around and seeing Tan smile softly while helping him arrange toys, her nose would sting with emotion. All the hardships, loneliness, and pain of the past suddenly felt so small, because now she had a home to return to, someone to lean on, and a love that always welcomed her. Hân silently thanked life for giving her the patience to endure, for letting her see a sliver of light even in her darkest days. That light was Tan and Tom, and today when she looked back, she knew she was truly blessed to have such a warm and complete family. Her heart was now filled only with contentment, peace, and a firm belief that from here on, life would only become sweeter. That afternoon, the sun was bright but the breeze was cool enough to make the backyard look like a peaceful painting. Hân took Tom outside with a bag of soil, several pots of green plants, and packets of seeds she had picked out the day before. Tom ran behind her, his tiny green gloves sparkling under the sunlight. Hân couldn't help but smile. He looked so excited, as if today's gardening session was a grand adventure. "Mom, I'm planting this one. Will it grow taller than me?" Tom asked, hopping playfully. Hân patted his head, her voice as soft as the breeze. "If you take good care of it, it'll grow taller than even Mommy." The two knelt on the soft patch of soil. Hân dug little holes while Tom carefully placed the seedlings in, his small hands covered in dirt but his eyes shining with joy. His laughter mixed with the chirping birds made Hân feel as if life itself was smiling at her. But not long after, just as Tom was patting the soil around a seedling, he suddenly stopped. He tilted his head slightly and placed a hand on his forehead. "Mom, I feel tired. I think I'm dizzy." Hân's smile faded instantly. She put down her trowel and knelt beside him, touching his forehead with worry. "It's too hot, isn't it? Mommy already told you. Staying in the sun too long can make you tired. Let's go rest inside, okay?" She lifted him up, noticing that his breathing had grown a little fast. A strange, uneasy feeling stirred inside her chest. She brought him into the living room, gave him water, wiped his sweat, and helped him lie down on the bed. "Mom, I still feel dizzy." His voice was so small it was almost a whisper. "It's okay, sweetheart. Lie down, close your eyes. Mommy is right here." A moment later, while Hân was adjusting the fan, she heard an unusual inhale from him. Tom lifted a hand to his nose and stared at the fresh red blood beginning to drip into his palm. "Mom, my nose, it's bleeding." For a split second, Hân couldn't breathe. She rushed to him, pressing a tissue gently to his nose, keeping her voice steady even though her hands were trembling. "It's okay. It's just because of the heat. Stay still. Mommy is holding you." Tom obediently lay still, but his half-open, tired eyes made Hân's heart clench painfully. Nosebleeds in children could be normal, she knew that. But this time the amount of blood seemed more than usual. And Tom's face wasn't just flushed from the sun, it had a faint paleness that didn't feel right. The room grew strangely quiet, filled only with the whirring fan and the loud beating of Hân's heart. She placed a small mask on him to keep the air from drying his nose, laid a cold cloth on his forehead, yet her eyes never left the streaks of blood on the tissue. A silent fear, like a dark cloud, slowly settled inside her. Hân swallowed hard, trying to stay calm. But the longer she looked at Tom, the stronger her unease grew, rising, tightening, as if warning her that something was wrong, something much more than just heat exhaustion. Han sat beside the bed, one hand holding a cold towel to Tom's forehead, the other gripping his tiny hand tightly. But even though the nosebleed had stopped, his complexion hadn't improved. The boy's eyes were closed, his breathing shallow and uneven, as if he had to struggle for every breath. "Mom, I'm tired cold." Tom's trembling voice was weaker than usual. Han jolted. She touched his forehead again, burning hot. Not the kind of heat from playing under the sun, but a deep, abnormal heat like a fever rising dangerously fast. "Oh God," Han whispered, her heart pounding hard. She stood up quickly to get the thermometer. Took only a few seconds, but it felt like an hour. When the device beeped, she glanced at the number. 38.8 degrees Celsius. Her hands shook. "Tom, you're running a fever." She tried to keep her voice steady, but her lips had turned pale. The boy cracked his eyes open. "Mom, don't worry. I'm just a little tired." Han bit her lip, a wave of helplessness washing over her. Tears threatened to spill, but she refused to break down. It's okay. Mommy's here. Just lie still." She began wiping him down with warm water to lower the fever, but the more she wiped, the hotter his skin felt. The fair skin that had only been slightly flushed minutes earlier now looked pale and drained. "Why is this happening?" she murmured, her voice tight with fear. Suddenly, the image of the earlier nosebleed flashed in her mind, gripping her chest even tighter. An inexplicable dread wrapped around her like a tightening rope. She swallowed hard, took a deep breath, and grabbed her phone. Her fingers trembled so much she misdialed twice before finally getting it right. "Hello? Hun? What's wrong with you and the baby?" Tana's warm, familiar voice came through the line. But this time, Han couldn't hold herself together. "Tan, can you come home?" Tom has a fever. It's really high, and he had a nosebleed earlier." There was 1 second of silence, just one, but it was enough to make Han's heart stop. Then Tan spoke quickly, firmly. "Calm down. I'm coming right now. Get the car ready. We're taking him to the hospital immediately." Han gripped the phone tightly, nodding even though he couldn't see her. "Okay. I know, just come fast." She hung up and hurried back to the bed. Tom was curled up, eyes shut, his breathing more labored than before. Han cupped his cheek gently, her voice soft as if afraid of startling him. "My little boy. Hold on just a bit, okay? Daddy's coming. Then we'll go see the doctor." Tom opened his eyes slightly, his gaze tired and glazed. "Mom, don't leave me." Han nearly choked on her breath. "Never. Mommy's right here." In the small room, the afternoon sunlight faded into a dim glow. The once peaceful atmosphere now felt suffocatingly heavy. She stayed pressed close to her son, holding him tight, feeling his little body burning like a fire she couldn't put out. She could only cling to him and wait for the sound of the door, for Tan to rush home like he promised. Less than 5 minutes later, the screech of a braking motorcycle outside made Han jump. She hurried to the living room with Tom in her arms just as Tan burst inside. Shirt buttons undone, breath ragged from rushing. "Han, where's tea?" He froze when he saw their son in her arms, his face flushed yet strangely pale. His expression darkened for a split second, but he quickly regained composure. "Let's go. I'll take both of you to the hospital now." Tan lifted Tom gently, holding him close to his chest. But after just a few steps, the boy let out a harsh breath, a soft congested sound escaping his throat. "Dad, I'm really tired." His voice was so faint it was nearly inaudible. Han tightened her grasp on Tana's arm. "Hurry. He's getting worse." The three of them climbed into the car. As Tan started the engine, he kept glancing at the rearview mirror, worry sharp in his eyes. The car sped off faster than usual but still safe. To Han, every second stretched painfully long. Tom lay on her lap, his head resting on her shoulder. She placed her hand against his chest, feeling his irregular breaths, sometimes fast, sometimes frighteningly slow. She wiped his sweat, but her own hands were shaking uncontrollably. "Hold on, we're almost there. Mommy's right here," she whispered, her voice cracking. But Tom's condition suddenly worsened. His eyes closed entirely, his lips drying, his breathing heavier than before. A soft whimper escaped his throat, freezing Han in terror. "Ton! He's struggling to breathe!" she cried, panic rising. Ton whipped his head around. "Sit him upright, don't let him lie flat. Han, support his neck." She immediately adjusted him, keeping him upright against her chest. But just then more blood trickled from his nose. Oh God! Another nosebleed. Han's whole body trembled. Tana's grip on the steering wheel tightened, his voice strained. "Okay, stay calm. We're almost there. Hold the tissue, tilt his head slightly. Don't let him panic." Han listened, tears streaming uncontrollably. "Tom, look at Mommy. Keep your eyes open, baby, don't fall asleep, do you hear Mommy?" Tom's eyelids fluttered weakly. "Mom, I'm cold." She hugged him tighter, rubbing his little arms, trying desperately to warm him. "It's okay. Mommy's holding you. Just a bit more." Ton stepped harder on the gas, his eyes red with fear though his voice stayed steady. "Tom, Daddy's here. Daddy's taking you to the doctor. Be strong just a little more, okay, son?" The car sped through the streets, swerving only when safe. Nothing mattered more than getting Tom to the hospital. But then his body suddenly went limp. "Tom, no. Stay with Mommy. Look at me. Open your eyes." Han cried, shaking him gently. "Hun, keep him awake. One more minute. One more minute." Ton shouted, his voice cracking. The car horn blared as they screeched to a stop at the emergency entrance. Ton jumped out, snatching Tom into his arms and running through the doors. "Doctor, please help. My son, he's having trouble breathing, high fever, nosebleeds." Nurses rushed forward, bringing a stretcher. Han stood frozen as they laid Tom down, his small hand slipping from hers, his pale face barely moving. The emergency room doors closed shut. Han collapsed onto a chair, her hands clasped so tight they turned white. Ton sat beside her, gripping her hand firmly, his voice thick. "It's okay, Han, the doctors will save him, our boy will be fine. He has to be." But his red eyes and the trembling in his breath told her just how terrified he truly was. Time seemed to slow down to the point it almost stopped. Han sat in the waiting area, her hands ice cold, her heart pounding as if it wanted to burst out of her chest. Ton stood beside her, unable to sit still even for a second. He paced back and forth, then turned to stare at the emergency room door, his eyes full of worry. After a little more than 20 minutes, stretched out like an eternity, the door finally swung open. A young doctor with a serious expression stepped out. "Are you the family of the boy named Tom?" Han shot to her feet immediately. "Yes, we are. How is my son, doctor?" The doctor didn't answer right away. He gestured for them to sit down, his expression still heavy. That quiet seriousness made Han's heart tighten. "At the moment, we've stabilized his breathing and stopped the nosebleed," the doctor said slowly. "But the high fever and the recurring bleeding are not entirely simple." Those words, "not simple," made Han's knees go weak. Ton gripped his wife's hand tightly, his voice turning hoarse. "Doctor, what do you mean by that?" The doctor opened the file in his hand, hesitating for a few seconds before speaking. "We suspect he may be having an issue related to his platelets or immune system. Some of his symptoms overlap with conditions that require long-term treatment." Han froze. "Platelets? Do you mean he has anemia? Or what kind of illness, doctor?" The doctor shook his head. "We can't conclude anything yet. But the sudden high fever, heavy nosebleed, and how quickly he became exhausted are signs we cannot ignore." It felt as though the world tilted under her feet. She had to brace herself against the chair to keep from collapsing. Ton tried to keep his voice steady. "What tests do you need to run for him?" "A full blood test, coagulation function, platelets. And we may need some more specialized tests if the initial results are not good." Han choked out. "And how is my son right now? Is he conscious? Is he in pain?" The doctor looked at her with sympathetic eyes. "At the moment, he's still weak and quite tired. We've started 4 fluids and fever-reducing medication, and we're waiting for his temperature to stabilize before doing the tests." He did call for Mom while in the room, but very softly. At that, Han's eyes reddened and tears burst out uncontrollably. "My baby," she sobbed, covering her mouth so she wouldn't disturb the hallway. Ton wrapped his arms around her, even though he himself was trembling. It's okay, we still have the doctors. There are still options, he's going to be okay. But when Han looked up into Tana's eyes, she could clearly see what he was hiding. He was just as terrified, struggling to breathe. The doctor stood up and said gently, "Once he's stable, we'll let you see him. But you need to prepare yourselves, because if the test results are bad, little Tom may need long-term treatment." That sentence struck Han's heart like a blade. She buried her face in her hands, gasping, her chest aching sharply. Why does it have to be our child? Han knelt in front of her, both hands gripping her shoulders. "Han, listen to me. Our boy is strong. This is just the beginning. No matter what happens, you and I will face it together for him. We can't give up. We can't fall apart. Han, look at me." She lifted her head, eyes soaked, her voice frail. I'm so scared. What if something happens to Tom?" Han squeezed her hand, his voice tight but firm. "Nothing will happen. He'll be okay. I promise." The two of them held each other in the hospital hallway, where the cold white lights only made their fear feel sharper. And just then the door opened again. A nurse walked out. "Excuse me, your son, little Tom, just called for Mom. He's awake but very weak. You can come in now." Han almost sprang to her feet. She hurried after the nurse, her heart pounding heavily, torn between hope and a fear so sharp it made her numb. And beyond that door, the true state of Tom was waiting to be revealed. Han stepped into the hospital room, her legs feeling almost numb. Han walked right beside her, his hand lightly on her back as if to lend her strength. As the door opened, the smell of disinfectant washed over them, tightening something in Han's chest. Tom was lying on a small hospital bed, wrapped in a thin blanket, his left arm hooked up to and fore. His face looked more sunken than it had just a few hours ago, his lips dry and pale, his eyes half closed as if he were fighting off overwhelming exhaustion. Seeing him like that, it felt as though someone had wrapped a fist around Han's heart and squeezed. She walked over, sat down by the bed, and with trembling hands took his small, cold hand into her own. "Tom, my baby boy." Her voice cracked, the words barely coming out. As if hearing her, Tom fluttered his eyelashes and slowly opened his eyes. He looked at his mother, his gaze dazed but still aware. He tried to press his lips into a smile, but only managed to lift the corners slightly, yet that tiny effort was enough to make Han burst into tears. "Mom!" His voice was so weak it sounded like a breeze. "I'm sorry. I made you worried." Hearing that, Han couldn't hold back anymore. Her tears fell onto his cheeks, each drop hot against his cold skin. "No, don't say sorry. You didn't do anything wrong. You just scared me. That's all, my boy. I'm here. I'm always here with you." Seeing his mother cry seemed to startle him. He tried to raise his hand to wipe her tears, but his arm was too weak. Han quickly guided his hand to her face, pressing it against her cheek so he would feel that he could still comfort her. Han stood beside them, his throat tight. He bent down and gently stroked his son's hair, his voice rough from holding back his emotions. "Daddy's here too. My brave boy. Hang in there for us, okay?" Tom turned his eyes to his father, breathing heavily as he forced out each word, afraid he might run out of strength. "Dad, Mom, don't be sad. I'll try my best. I don't want you to cry." Han squeezed his hand tightly. "Okay. Mommy won't cry anymore. You just sleep, okay? I'll be right here watching over you." But he still kept his eyes open, looking at her, his expression weak but determined. "Mom, don't leave me, okay? Hold my hand so I can sleep." The pain in her chest was almost unbearable. She immediately leaned down, enclosing his tiny hand in both of hers and placing it in her lap. "I'm not going anywhere. I'll hold your hand until you get better, until you smile again, until you're running around the yard again. Okay?" At that moment, Ton could no longer keep his composure. He lifted a hand to cover his eyes, drawing in a deep breath so he wouldn't break down in front of his son. He leaned in and pressed a kiss onto Tom's forehead. "Daddy and Mommy will never leave you. You just need to sleep. Sleep so you can wake up stronger tomorrow." Tom's lips moved, his eyes slowly closing. But just before he drifted into his exhausted sleep, he managed to whisper a sentence that shattered both of their hearts. "Mom, Dad, I love you both so much. His small breaths then gradually slowed, becoming more even. The 4 fluids and fever medicine were finally taking effect. He slipped into sleep, his little hand still resting inside his mother's. Han bowed her head, tears falling non-stop onto his hand. Tan stood beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders, resting his forehead against her hair as if to share this pain with her. Outside the room, the hallway lights glowed a soft yellow, strangely quiet. But in the hearts of Han and Tan, there was an immense, suffocating fear about the test results that were still to come. The night dragged on heavily, like a gray cloud hanging over the couple's heads. Han sat beside the bed, her hand never leaving Tom's for even a second. Tan leaned against the wall, his eyes red from worry and sleeplessness. Every time their son stirred even a little, both of them shot up in alarm. Near midnight, a doctor knocked and entered, holding a folder of test results in his hand. His face was serious, lacking the gentle expression he had earlier. "Can we talk for a moment?" Han tightened her grip on Tom's hand until her knuckles turned white. Tan stepped forward, his voice rough. "Doctor, please just tell us the truth. What's wrong with my son?" The doctor took a long breath, placed the file on the table, and opened the results page by page. The results of his blood test, platelets, and immune markers all show abnormalities. Han blinked, her heart squeezing painfully. "Abnormal, what do you mean?" The doctor looked at both of them, his voice sinking. "Your son, little Tom, tested positive for a rare virus, something we don't often see in young children. This virus attacks the immune system and directly affects platelet count." It felt as if someone had pulled the air out of Han's lungs. Her head buzzed. Tan tried to remain calm. "So, is there treatment for it, doctor?" A simple question, yet the doctor remained silent. That silence made the entire hospital hallway feel frozen. Finally, he shook his head gently. "This virus does not have a definitive cure at the moment. What we can do is supportive therapy, long-term monitoring, and try to keep his immune system as stable as possible." Han collapsed onto the chair, her eyes wide in disbelief. No, that can't be. My child is so small. Why, doctor, isn't there any other way?" The doctor looked at her with sadness. "We will do everything we can. He's not in immediate life-threatening danger, but he needs close observation. This virus can flare up at any time, especially with high fever, fatigue, or nosebleeds like what happened today." A strangled cry escaped Han's throat. Her tears burst forward, filling the room with an invisible grief. She dropped to her knees beside the bed, hugging her child's tiny legs. Why my child? He's so good. He's never done anything wrong. Why must he suffer like this?" Tan knelt beside her, wrapping his arms around her shoulders, but even his hands trembled violently. His throat was so tight he couldn't speak for several seconds. When he finally did, his voice was low, hoarse, and painfully restrained. "Han, look at me. Our son is alive, he's here, he's breathing. And we can still care for him, protect him." His tears fell onto her hands, warm and heartbreaking. "I will do everything, anything. We'll treat him no matter how long it takes. I won't let either of you face this alone." Han looked at him, her eyes swollen, filled with fear and despair, but somewhere deep inside, a faint spark of hope flickered because of his words. The doctor continued, "We'll move him to a special monitoring room. Starting tomorrow morning, he must begin receiving antiviral medication, immune boosters, and platelet control therapy. Long-term treatment, it could take months or longer." Han wiped her tears with her sleeve, her voice trembling. "Doctor, as long as my son still has a chance, I'll accept anything." The doctor nodded. "He has a chance. And he has his parents. That's incredibly important." He left the room, leaving the couple clinging to each other in the dim light. The soft beeping of the 4 machine filled the air, blending with the faint breaths of little Tom, carrying a fragile but precious hope. Han sat down beside the bed, stroking her son's soft hair, whispering, "Tom, my baby, stay strong. Mommy will never let go of your hand. However long this fight takes, Mommy will walk every step with you." Tan pulled a chair beside her, taking her hand. "We'll do it together, the 3 of us." Under the weak yellow hospital light, their little family looked fragile, but strangely resilient. That night, the hospital room glowed with a dim golden light from the ceiling, quiet, suffocating. Tom lay on the small bed, his tiny body wrapped in a blanket, but he still trembled with fever. Han sat close, her knees touching the edge of the bed. She placed her hand on his forehead, burning hot, as if it could scorch her skin. "Oh God, why is he still feverish?" she whispered, tears rising again. Across from her, Tom watched, his hands clenched tightly. He took a warm towel and gently wiped their son's skin, each motion careful as if afraid of hurting him. A small whimper slipped from Tom's throat. His little body curled, legs trembling. "Mom!" His voice was thin like a soft echo from a tired dream. "Mommy's here. Mommy's here, baby." Han took his hand, her voice shaking uncontrollably. The boy kept his eyes closed, opening his mouth with effort. "I'm cold. Mommy. Can you hold me?" Another crack echoed through her heart. She couldn't hold him tightly because of the foreline, but she wrapped an arm around him, tucking the blanket closer so he could feel her warmth. "Mommy's here. Mommy's holding you. Just stay strong." Tom watched, his chest tightening painfully. He dragged a chair closer, touching his son's hand. Daddy's here too. Don't be scared." Between them lay their fragile little boy, so weak that even a slight rise in fever made the world collapse around them. Near 2 a.m., the fever still hadn't gone down. His trembling worsened, sweat forming on his forehead. Han panicked. "Ton! Honey! He's shaking harder." Ton immediately stood up and called the nurse. Before the nurse arrived, Tom curled up, crying softly. "Mom, my stomach hurts. I don't feel good." Han placed her hand on his belly. "Where does it hurt? Tell Mommy." "Where, baby?" But Tom could only moan, too exhausted to speak. The nurse rushed in, checked his vitals, and then said, "It's okay. He's reacting to the 4 medication. We'll adjust the dosage. Please stay calm." But how could they stay calm when their child was in pain? When the nurse left, Han buried her face beside his hand, sobbing uncontrollably. All her earlier strength melted away. "My child is so young, why must he suffer like this?" she cried. Tom placed a hand on her shoulder. He didn't sob aloud, but tears slid down onto her hands. "I'm sorry. I couldn't protect you both from this," his voice cracked. Han lifted her head, eyes swollen. "Don't say that. It's not your fault, not mine. I'm hurting. Seeing him like this. I can't take it." Tom sat down and pulled her into his arms. They hugged each other beside the 4 stand. Their tears fell silently. Neither dared to cry loudly, afraid of waking their son, afraid of frightening him, afraid of hearing their own breaking voices. By 4 a.m., exhaustion finally overtook little Tom. He fell into a deeper sleep. The trembling eased, his breathing steadied slightly. But Han and Tom stayed awake, watching him without blinking. Tom finally spoke, his voice low but firm. "Han, no matter how long this lasts, I'm here. We'll take care of him together. We won't let him fight alone." Han leaned on his shoulder, her eyes tired but still wet with tears. "Yes, as long as he still has a chance, as long as he's still breathing. I won't let go of him." They looked at the little boy lying under the weak hospital light. The night was long, painfully long. But they knew one thing. As long as Tom was alive, hope still existed. What will happen to little Tom? What will Han do to save her son? Find out in the next video. And please keep this little boy in your prayers.
Xin chào mọi người nha. Rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video hôm nay của mình. Chúc mọi người có một ngày mới tràn đầy năng lượng và một ngày làm việc đầy hiệu quả. Video hôm nay mình kể về cho mọi người nghe về câu chuyện của người mẹ đơn thân Diệu Hân. Tưởng chừng như cuộc sống đã hạnh phúc viên mãn, nhưng bất ngờ tôi mắc một căn bệnh lạ và rất khó điều trị. Liệu rằng tôi vượt qua hay không? Và mọi người cùng đón xem những video tiếp theo nha. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video hôm nay của mình. Hy vọng rằng mọi người sẽ yêu thích và để lại những lời nhận xét để mình có động lực làm nhiều video hơn cho mọi người cùng xem. Cảm ơn mọi người và hẹn gặp lại mọi người ở video lần sau nha. Xin chào mọi người.